if we are backing the Jets, then we are expecting a closer game, perhaps even in situations in the second half where the Browns will be playing from behind. And in the past, you go, well, they're going to run the ball no matter what because they have insane success with it. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. Certainly, there have been stretches this year where the Browns haven't been good on the ground with Jerome Ford. Now, they have had better spurts closer to now, but against the Jets, I'm not sure that's something you can rely upon all that much. And so over 36 and a half pass attempts makes a lot of sense there. And then you look at the Jets side, this is probably a game where Trevor Siemian, look, if the Jets somehow, pull off the upset and Jets backers, want to go after plus 280 on that money line, I do think this will be Siemian having to win the game. This isn't just him being a game manager. He may actually have to be a tad extraordinary for that to happen. So, 7.5 is kind of a misleading number. It's not just that the Browns are 7.5 better, but it's like if this game is close, Siemian has to pull a rabbit out of the hat. I'm not sure that's going to happen. But what I think it does mean is that he may also have more pass attempts than anticipated. So it's not necessarily a prop that I like there, but I do think Breece Hall will not be toting the rock as much. I'm seeing 14.5 as his rush attempts. I really like the under there. I think the Jets have to keep the ball in the air for them to have any chance in this one.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. I think it's going to be a tough Breece Hall game. I think the Simeon look is a good one. It makes a lot of sense. The game script, right? Like if they're trailing, they're obviously going to throw. And like you said, even if they're competitive and if they want to win the game, I think they're going to have to throw as well. Another prop that I like, which I've been taking the last couple weeks in these Thursday night games, that's been pretty profitable. Total combined interceptions tonight between Joe Flacco and Trevor Siemian over 1.5. It's juice minus 140. And I think we could get like 3 or 4 combined interceptions tonight. I think Flacco could throw a couple. I think Siemian could throw a couple potentially as well. Both of these defenses create turnovers. Both of them create interceptions. So, Flacco, as great as he's been, all the attempts, all the touchdowns, all the yards, he is throwing interceptions. And Siemian against this Browns defense on the road, I think is going to struggle as well. So, you do have to lay some juice for it, but I think instead of taking Flacco to throw a pick at minus 200 or Siemian at minus 190, just combine the two of them, get a better price at minus 140. And that's another angle I'm attacking as well. I touched on Amari a little bit, and if he does play, obviously I expect Sauce to be on him for most of the game. Eddie had 265 yards last week, right? And his prop at BetMGM sitting at 57.5. Like everybody's going to be on that over, kind of like the under in the game, especially because Amari isn't 100%. He's not feeling great, and the Jets' pass defense against wide receivers is excellent. Where they struggle is against tight ends. And ever since Flacco took over, Njoku has been killing it. He's been really, really good. I mean, Flacco's always loved his tight ends, going back to his days in Baltimore with Dennis Pitta and over the years. So I like Njoku. I think this is a Njoku game. I take his over receiving yards. I take him anytime touchdown. I think he would be the guy that I would target tonight in the passing game for Cleveland. I know Amari went crazy last week. I think there's some regression this week. I think it's a bad matchup for him, where this matchup much more so favors Njoku. I think if you want to look at like Jerome Ford receptions as well, the Jets, again, the pass defense is good. The D-line is good. It gets after the quarterback, and Flacco has a tendency to hit those checkdowns and throw it to his running backs as well. So Jerome Ford over 2.5 receptions, I think, is another look that I like as well.
TJ, we have a running joke around these parts to where the biggest sports news always breaks at noon Eastern, just a few minutes after we go off the air. And sure enough, at noon Eastern yesterday, after Aaron and I were waxing poetic about the Dallas Cowboys and how much she hates them and how much I still believe in them, sure enough, we get a little bit of news that Russell Wilson, the Broncos quarterback, has been benched for Jarrett Stidham. And what's interesting to me in terms of Adam Schefter's tweet saying that like this is about, say, getting a spark offensively, what's interesting to me is that this is something that perhaps Russell Wilson was sort of expecting, that he thought could very well happen. For instance, from Diana Rossini saying Wilson will be cut in March, that would be inactive, or that he would be made inactive if he did not defer his contract's March 2024 injury guarantee trigger date, $37 million guarantee. Russ himself has known for 2 months that he was likely to be benched and he was likely not going to be coming back as a member of the Broncos and that he would have to continue his career elsewhere. And it's interesting to me in terms of why things didn't work out between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. When you think of Wilson, a really mobile guy, really athletic guy, yeah, he's a little bit short, but sometimes getting outside the pocket, sort of plays into his wheelhouse, being able to toss it deep, let Russ cook. There's a reason why that phrase exists in the first place. And that's not exactly what Sean Payton is all about. You think about Drew Brees, especially when they were constantly winning the NFC South and constantly making the playoffs. Yeah, coming up a little bit short those last few years in the Brees campaign. But at the same time, you saw someone who was just super duper efficient, right? Drew Brees to Michael Thomas. Like, how many times do we say that time and time again, around that 2020 campaign and those other years? That's, I think, what Peyton wants. Somebody who maybe isn't like a Jaden Daniels type who's really, really flashy, but somebody who's just uber efficient. And to me, this matters a great deal in terms of, how we're trying to figure out this week 17 contest and maybe even the future, just because maybe it's not the flashiest of quarterbacks Sean Payton is looking for, but just someone who's reliable, someone who can get those, say, 2 to 10 air yard passes completed, and someone who's able to, find the receiver who's ultimately going to get a lot of yards after catch.
I couldn't do it for a week, to answer your question, Ed. I don't know if there's anything. I was trying to think, like, what is the fast food place that I like the most that I could eat consecutively for the most amount of days? See, what would make this question even better is, what could you eat consecutively every day for 10 years if you knew that it wasn't, like, unhealthy, right? Like, if you knew it wasn't going to affect your health, if you could eat anything in
Mm-hmm.
the world, like any fast food place, and it'd be fine. That's when I think things would get interesting. Cause, man, I don't know. Like, I feel like my go-to for most days, like the thought that pops into my head most days throughout the week is, I want a sandwich, right? So like the sandwich
Yeah.
shops are probably my go-to. Um, but like if I had the option to eat something every single day, man, I don't know. Maybe it'd be like a McDonald's. Like, I think I'm basic or something like that. Maybe there's something else.
We have
Taco
another
Bell
one
is
here.
Taco Bell's really,
We
really
have
good.
another one.
Yeah. I think Taco Bell would be up there if, man, eating that every day though would be tough.
If you're
I
eating
don't know.
Taco Bell every day, PJ, you're an insane person. You're a
Jake,
crazy
Yeah.
person.
it's pretty good though. Taco Bell's pretty good. What would yours be? What would yours be?
You realize, first off, you realize that the quality of meat there is that of cat food.
Oh yeah, it's
Like,
terrible.
those tacos are not good for you. You do not know what you are ingesting at all.
And this is my favorite bet of the week. I liked it at +4. I still like it at +3.5. I think they're going to win the game outright, but I like the Miami Dolphins against the Ravens this week. Like, this is why we love the NFL, is because of games like this, because of spots like this. I can't explain it, but as a Ravens fan, like, the fans, the coaches, the players, it just seemed like that Niners game, it was personal, right? And it just, like, we were all so excited for, like, it's Christmas Day, it's the battle of the two best teams. You're out to kind of prove who was better. But at the end of the day, this game against Miami is way more important, and it always was. I would have so much rather seen the Ravens lose to San Francisco and win this game against Miami than the other way around. The Ravens win this game, they clinch the #1 seed. They lose, and now Miami controls their own destiny for the #1 seed in the AFC heading into Week 18. So it's a monster game. I will say, stylistically, where I think the Ravens have a big advantage is that they just played San Francisco, and obviously Mike McDaniel comes from the Shanahan coaching tree, right? So on a short week, being able to play against San Francisco and seeing how they play up front is going to be big heading into
Mm.
this game against Miami. That's where I think the Ravens have the advantage. The injury report is going to be huge in this game. If Kyle Hamilton doesn't play for the Ravens, that is a massive game changer. And how I feel about the Dolphins even is that much better. And this matchup against Baltimore or against Miami, because obviously of what they want to do offensively. Jalen Waddle's probably not going to play for the Dolphins, which is key. But to me, that win against San Francisco and then turning around and playing the Dolphins and everybody talking about Lamar for MVP and talking about the Ravens being the best team in the NFL. Like, Ed, this is how the NFL works. I just know that the Dolphins have to be the play for me. Would it shock me if the Ravens win this game by double digits? Not at all, because as we all know, the Dolphins do struggle against good teams, especially away from home. To me, it's the play's got to be on Miami, though.